Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and we're finally here. It's the release of OP05, at least here in North America. I've been doing a lot of videos, a lot of content, a lot of live streams, just a lot of talking about this set, and I'm really excited to see it finally here in North America. So to celebrate it, I'm going to talk about all of my deck lists that have kind of been leading up to today, and we have a couple announcements too. So first, there's going to be a live stream today at 8 a.m. PST here on YouTube and on Twitch. We're going to be doing a little bit of play testing, but we also have some boxes to open too, or so just a box and some packs. So it should be a lot of fun. Make sure to check that out. And then also I've updated my website to have this kind of event. So the OP05 section is open. I don't have any tournament data yet because there haven't been any tournaments in North America yet, but we do have this one page here that has pretty much all of my deck lists that I've been working on that I enjoy and that I would not be too bad to sleeve up and have a good time with. So obviously some are more competitive than others, but all the decks that we're talking about today in this video are linked here. So if you guys want to check them out, you can find them on my website here. And also, if you guys want more content, I have over 40 hours of OP05 playtesting here on my YouTube. It's available to channel members. And I also want to shout out our newest channel members, which are Real Gits, Ryan Centillion, and Kenny Bell. Thank you for being supporters of myself and the channel and just everything else. And the memberships do go a long way, and I really do appreciate all the support from these as well. But we're going to go over some lists that I honestly really believe in. Not all the lists that are here on this page, so you guys can check this out. It also has links to all of my guides, since I made a guide for all 6 leaders, and I combined Sabo and Betty, so that's why there's 5 videos. But yeah, there's a lot of resources. I hope you guys enjoy all this, and let's just jump into the deck lists themselves. So first off, we're going to kind of go over like 2 of the easy ones. We've got Sakazuki and then Purple Luffy kind of right after it too. But Sakazuki, I think, is going to be one of the most powerful decks, if not the most powerful deck in this format. It has a lot of extension. It has a lot of flexibility. It has a lot of removal in a lot of different ways, and it's just very strong in how the deck works. So kind of the key cards that are new are Rob Lucci, being able to get rid of 1 or 2 things very, very easily without having to pay additional costs from hand. It's just cards from your trash, and they're just generic cards, so it's very easy to get those to the bottom, especially since our leader helps it in both ways of reducing the cost of a card by 1 for free, as well as being able to just put 1 card into your trash and get that free cycle every turn. The other kind of card is Rebecca, which is such a good card at just generating value back. So being able to use it to not only play a blocker, which is great, but being able to play a 3 or add a 3 to 7 from your trash to your hand. So it could be something like another Rob Lucci, or it could be like a blocker, and then you get to play a 3 or less from your hand if you want to. So like Hina's a really good pick to discard off your Sakazuki. You know, play Hina later, it gives the on play to give something -4, and then you can use Rob Lucci to get rid of a 6 cost or a 7 cost with the leader effect, right? So that's very, very strong, and you get some strong math with it. Borsalino's also a very good card, being able to just be a 7/8, just a big body that's hard for your opponent to remove, and also gets the removal of a 4 or less or a 5 or less with her leader ability. And then finally Houndblaze, which is such a strong card too. Like this one's a little bit wild, being able to give your something plus 3k, so immediately like 2 Dawn to go up to 3 is great, but also being able to place a character at the cost of 2 or less to the bottom of its owner's deck, which is a 3 or less, which is a 3 or less plus 4, a 7 or less with Hina's effect. Like, so you can see how that's good, and then it's searchable off brand new. So I don't know if I have to talk about this deck anymore. I think you guys already have your own opinions with it, but this is my build. I think it's pretty good. I like to add a couple copies of Kobe just for like potential ways, so Rebecca can find either the cost reduction or the KO card from your trash. So I think that's good. And again, this is just a very strong deck in general. Next up, we've got Purple Luffy, and I think this is a deck that has a lot of strength as well. This is the Water 7 build that I've been honestly just playing a lot of, and I know this is a little bit of a cheeky build and a little bit off meta, but I do think the ways that it works is very strong for what it is. So we do have like the Water 7, so like we have this 1-drop Searcher, which is really good. You find some 2Ks, also a 2-drop Blocker, which can be helpful in a lot of situations, and then we also have like the idea of like the ulti. And so I think this deck can sometimes have a rough time against the Sakazuki deck, but if you're able to find ulti into page 1, you can get some like really good pressure early game and then kind of go from there. And I also like this, like the Kokoro can find some Water 7 cards, including like the Poly and the Top Knot, which are great removal, or just the Gum Gum Jet Gatling too. And then just kind of our general top end of the uses Captain Kids, both of them, the 5-drop and the 7-drop from the Star Deck 10. And then the Kaido and the Luffy, you guys can decide if you don't like this Luffy. You can just go like 4 copies of Kaido instead. But I like the idea of the card. It's the newer one, and it is, sometimes it just says wins you the game. Like you can't really play around it since the way it works. I think this card itself works better in like the red purple Luffy, but it's still a good card that can be taken advantage with the mono purple Luffy, and it's just in a good spot. So I don't know, like this card being able to ramp and gain card advantage is like a 2-for-1 in a lot of ways. It helps you find the cards you want to play on curve and just lets you kind of punish your opponent for doing that as well. So I do think purple's in like a really good spot and a better spot than it's been in a long time. And you're going to see that because a lot of the cards and a lot of the decks that we talk about in this video specifically are kind of purple leaning, which is I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea for a video like this, but these are all the decks I've been liking playing. So this is the Luffy build for you guys here. Next up, we have the red, purple, and we're going to talk about all 3 of the Star Deck leaders, just because like they kind of are like these in-betweens between set 4 and set 5, and that's kind of, I like the idea that it gets to extend into that. But Star Deck 10 Luffy, I think a lot of you guys, when we saw that the restriction for Whitebeard got uplifted, that we were like, oh, this is tier 1. A lot of people are saying this is tier 1, and I'm not convinced on that quite yet, but I do think it can have a lot of strength and have a lot of power in this format in general. This is again like a bit of an interesting build. It's using a lot of the broke works, and I'll say, you know, this would look probably a little bit bizarre if you're seeing it the first time, but the idea for this one is that we want to try to just get to new gate as fast as possible. So how do you do that? What you can do is that if you get to 8 Dawn, you can use your leader ability to go from 8 to 9, and you get the 9th one for free, right? So okay, we want to get to 8 as soon as possible, so we want to be on the even curve. No. What you want to do is you want to be on the odd curve, so you want to go first with this deck, meaning you can use an Ezo to help you find your new gate or something like that. And then turn 2, we play like a Miss Valentine. These are just best curve. But what you really, really want to do is on your 3rd turn, you want to play either the Miss All Sunday or the Miss Double Finger, which is a new Brokeworks 2K from this new set. But it also has this on play. You can trash a card from your hand to add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and rest it. So what it means is that you have 8 targets for a ramp on your 3rd turn, and they're searchable on your 2nd turn. So you, like, every time I get to see this, like this is very, very consistent, being able to see this one ramp on your 3rd turn just by how good this is. So it's a really solid, consistent engine to do that. And then after that, you just go to 8, and then at the start of your next turn, you go to 9, you play new gate, and then you just kind of rock from there. So that's kind of the idea of the deck. There were times I just would get like there, but I wouldn't have like enough of a top end. So I think there could be some changes, either like adding some of the Whitebeard Pirates event card, just because it can find the new gate, but also find like Ezo, which can find the new gate kind of thing. And additionally, like if you want more top end, since we're really only running like 8 on that top end, you could run some just bigger cards too. But this was a theory craft, but it honestly worked out really well. I was really happy with the build, and I think there's some kind of merit to this. So this is my build. I know it's a little kooky, but I liked it, and I hope you guys at least enjoy the thought of the deck there too. Next up is Trafalgar Law, and I'm going to be honest, this is just a pretty vanilla build for the deck. Nothing so fantastic or special with it, but it's something that I think will be very good and just a very standard starting point for a deck like this, especially with this deck being kind of open-ended in how it works. And you do have some synergies that you want for it, but the card pool for this, there's just a lot of cards that you can choose for it, and I think there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of different deck builds going into this format. So this was mine. It's again very vanilla, but we'll talk about it real quick. The newest cards we want to talk about are the Trafalgar Law 3-drop. So when attacking, if your opponent has more Dawn cards than you get to look top 5 for Heart Pirates. So a card draw for this deck is good. Also, something that we want to play. Like I think generally you kind of want to go first with this deck, because I like going turn 1, just we don't really do anything unless we play Gordon if we want to do it out free. Turn 2, we play either Zoro or we play Trafalgar Law, and then turn 3, we play Useless Captain Kid. So being able to establish Kid out early means that we can use our -3 but not feel too bad about it. It also means that the Zoro gets this free Dawn as long as we have 3 or less life, which is pretty easy for this leader, and just go from there. So our Heart Pirates are other Trafalgar Laws, which this can find itself, which is really interesting. Sashi and Penguin, since it's a 2K and its on-play effect is great. Another 4-drop Trafalgar Law, Beppo, and also the Gamma Knife, which is a new event card, which is fantastic. Dawn -1 for a 2 cost. Give something -5k during your turn, so being able to use this and then in conjunction with your leader means you get an 8k or less off the board, which is pretty strong. Other than that, we also get the Beppo 2k film card just because it is a Heart Pirates and it's searchable, which is good, and just the rest of it here. So we do have this new 1-drop searcher. It looks for Straw Hat, Kid Pirates, or Heart Pirates, which is pretty much all of this deck. I think everything but the Film Gordon can be found off this. So I think unless you see like 3 Film Gordons on the top of your deck, you don't whiff with this card ever, which is nice. Helps you find your pieces. You can find Gamma Knife too. So sometimes I want to like bump this up to 3 just because it is like what sets up a removal with their leader ability so often. And in general, I think this is a pretty solid build for you here. So other than that, I'm playing 2-drop Sanji because there's a lot of times in this deck where you just run out of resources or cards. So being able to use this, if I go second and I have this in hand, I will play it turn 2. And then I will go, play a 4-drop, use the Sanji effect, attack, and then use like the minus factor and go from there. So like it's a good solid card, I think, for that, because you do want that early card draw, because otherwise you just don't have the resources at time if your opponent's trying to clear the board. So that's the build. It's pretty simple, but the deck is, again, very open, and I think this is a good starting point for anyone who's really committed to trying Trafalgar Law in OP05. And lastly, we have like the third deck, which is probably the least popular of them all, but honestly, like I do kind of like this build for it. I tried like more of like a Impel Down version with like Magellan and like trying to get the benefit from all that, but it just never really worked out. And so instead I tried this build, and I was actually pretty happy with how it did. It's just a really aggressive like rush version of the build. The most important card for us is the 5-drop Eustace Kid. We want to go first, and then usually we go first. We can either use Nami or the 1-drop event to try to find some more cards. 2, we either play our Killer, our Wire, or our Zoro if we have it, and then we play Kid on 3, which means that we can play it, we can attack, use our leader effect for the -1, and we get a Dawn open, which means we can get some additional advantage from all that happening. It just also means we don't like lose the Dawn from this effect. We also have Missile Sunday. I don't know if this was like the best pick. We can probably cycle this out. It's probably the worst card in the deck, but it was just I found myself like I needed more cards to play, and just for cycle, and like the ramp was good, and if it hit off life, it was good. So it was just fine. I never like used it a lot, but it wasn't like the worst pick. And then 7-drop Eustace Kid just makes sense because it's what works out with the deck, and you get the advantage for it. I wouldn't go higher than this much for the Dawn curve because we are going to be really aggressive with it. Maybe Kaido, but Kaido is really expensive for this deck to be able to play. And then we just have our 2Ks. Frankie can be rushed as long as you have 8 or more Dawns, so make sure you are calculating that right before you're doing your Dawn minus for the turn. But being able to use this guy for just like another attack if needed is good. And then also, we have the Zoro, the Luffy, and then the new Sanji from Star Deck 10 as well, which is just a rush if your opponent has a 5 or less. So it's not like super crazy, but it's also a 1K, so you're kind of okay with it. So we could run some more events, some more interaction. I'm not in this one. We also have Punk Rodden, which gives one of your your Kid Pirate cards plus 5K, which is pretty strong. Means that you get like a huge punch with any one of our Kid Pirates, which is not a lot, but there are all these guys, and that's honestly what this is for this deck. It's pretty fast, it's pretty aggressive. I wouldn't say it's too fancy, but it's what we have here. And then next up we have 2 more decks. It's the Crocodiles, the multicolor ones, which honestly I was a really big fan of this Crocodile and OP04. There's not a lot of that change from this one, except for, again, like Miss Doublefinger is such a good card for us. It means that we have an alternative way to ramp if we need to. So it's either we want to go first with this build, and then either on turn 3 we either play Missile Sunday or we'll play Miss Doublefinger. There's like statistically it's very rare that we don't see either of those, so it's very consistent to get there. And then that means we go from 5 to 6, and the next turn we go to 8, which means we can play Crocodile or we can play Katakuri. So very, very good kind of combo play there. I think that's very strong for us and just kind of helps us out a lot. So that's the idea for this build in general. But I kind of still feel like the biggest issue is that this is kind of like a big body deck, but we kind of cap out on removing 8 drops, and we don't really have support in either of the other colors of purple or yellow to get the removal for it. So because of that, I kind of started playing this deck. It's a little bit of a joke, but I ended up finding a build that I really liked. And honestly, with this build, I found like a lot of people were running a lot of events because they always wanted to draw with the deck. And I kind of decided that was kind of the wrong way to play it. So this build has like a really specific curve that we want to follow, but we do have like alternative curves if we want to get there. So generically, we want to go second with this deck. We have Miss Valentine that we want to play turn 1, and then our second turn we can either play Miss Doublefinger or Ulti if we want to. I think either of these are good. Ulti is a new card from OP05 that says if your leader is multicolored, which we are, we get to look at the top 3, draw 1 card, and then we get to put the last 2 on the top or bottom of our deck in any order. So it just like it does like the best of both worlds. Being able to draw the card, then also being able to rearrange is good. So if there's no card, neither card you like, put it at the bottom. Otherwise, you know what you're getting next, which is good, especially since Crocodile does draw cards in itself. So being able to set that up is in a good spot. And then we go into next turn. So that means we go to 4 to 7. On the next turn, and if we don't find the Miss Doublefinger and we play Ulti, we play Miss Sunday instead, which is pretty easy. Miss Doublefinger also gets cards out of our hands, which means that we're closer to using our Crocodile effect to get the cycle back. So which means that generically we don't really care about losing that card. And then we can go, if we went on 4, we can go to Sogeking on curve, which means that we are on 7, they were on 5. So we can get rid of whatever card they played back into their hand pretty consistently. And then if we instead went 5 here, we can just go into Crocodile. So if we go on the odd curve. But then also Mihawk is like the good card. So we'll, if we do the ramp, as long as your opponent also doesn't ramp, we get to bottom deck literally any card they played last turn because of they would have been on 7 last turn, and then we play Mihawk, we bottom deck the card, and then we're in a really, really good spot. So I like what this is. And then even curve is pretty much the same. It just means that we get the extra Dawn free to put underneath our leader to use the leader effects. And then all of the events we're playing are the Gum Gum Rain and the Gum Gum Jet Gatling, which means that it's essentially like a free cycle with the card because we use the effect and then our Crocodile leader effect goes off, so we can do that. And then also the 3000 Worlds and the Gum Gum Red Rock for their extra removal, which is also really, really good. So being able to use these is strong. So I like all that. I think it's very good for us. And then we have the Missile Sunday blocker, which is also pretty good at just being able to be like, oh, well, we get back our Gum Gum Red Rock, our 3000 Worlds, our Gum Gum Jet Gatling, which lets us cycle and, get out of the next attack with our leader as well. So all of this is good. We don't, like, if you want to play like a game where you're just like on the defense and cycling with your events every turn, that's not what this build does, and that's okay in my mind. I think this build is pretty strong without it. So I highly recommend trying it out. I've been having a lot of fun with it, and it's been really, really cool. So I don't know. I feel like I've been talking forever about these decks. These are just some of them that I've been testing and I've been feeling kind of good about. Probably if I was to play it, I'd probably either play Purple Luffy, Red Purple Luffy, or Blue Purple Croc. I think those are ones that kind of, like, you can tell, like, I like these ramp into our big boys and get like the advantage early kind of play style, and I think all 3 of these decks kind of promote that right now as well. So that's going to be it. Again, like, make sure to check out my website for more deck lists and all of my guides that are here on YouTube. If you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, please make sure to do that as well. We're trying to get to 20K by the end of the year. We're pretty close, but it's going to be pretty close to get there on time. And make sure to check back for events for OP05. That's going to start next week as well. So that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what decks you guys are looking forward to. Good luck on your polls, and I'll see you guys next time.